Hi, Amanda.
Sorry. Hi, Mike. How are you? Sorry, I was just
I'm all right.
grooving along to the intro music. And for anyone who does not know, does not remember, Mike made that. I'm pointing this way because on my screen, he's on that side of me. Mike made that intro music.
I did, yes. And
Congratulations.
I was thinking if I should sort of freshen it up this season, I might add some maracas or something.
Like,
It'll be more
would
of
it be would it be the
like a
same?
yeah, but like maybe a
Okay.
remix. I don't know. I
Yeah.
probably won't do it, but
I
whatever.
mean, who's got the time to do anything? But
Yeah,
I like it. I like how it is. But if you want to mix it up, do a little something.
I'll see what I can come up with.
I wouldn't be against it.
Speaking of not having time, I know we had some things we were going to talk about, and we'll get to them. But something just came into my head.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I'm trying to find ways to drum up more business, just as a part of having a business. You have to always bring in new stuff.
Yeah. No,
Um,
it's true.
and it occurred, so I came up with some ideas, and I may try to implement them, but they all sort of have this attached thing, which is, oh, I should also update my own website, and like
Yes.
because it's going to be promoting, get in touch with me through my website, and it's that barber has no shoes, whatever the
The shoemaker's children.
shoemaker barber has a
They,
bad haircut. I don't know what it is. Yeah,
yeah.
whatever that
No,
is.
the shoemaker's children are
Children. There you
barefoot.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we've said before on the show, but like I have partial designs and stuff to redesign the
Yeah.
site and this and that, but I never actually pulled the trigger on it. So anyway, I just want to
It's
point that out. It's hard to keep up with that.
It's so hard. It's such a big project trying to. So one of the things a friend of mine, and I think that we've talked about it before, done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
And I still have
Voltaire.
a hold time. I totally have a difficult time following that really great advice. But it's true sometimes. Just get the new website done.
Hmm.
Also, I know that it's really, really different between us because you are a designer as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just a developer. So, hey, Sean.
There it is.
I'm just a developer. So I
Sorry, I
have
was.
zero problem going and like purchasing an existing theme template and then
Yeah.
applying it and modifying it however I want. But
I've
I'm fine
considered
starting
that
with
just
that.
in the interest of, like you said, just better to have it done than not done or whatever. So
Expediency. Yeah.
I may explore that in some way. I don't know. Sean, we were just welcome. We were just talking about. I'm trying to like think of ways to bring in more business as one does when you own a business, and
I need more business.
it always comes back to I have to update my website, and it's something I never get done. You're in the same boat, yeah. So
Yeah.
I haven't added new content in a long, long, long time,
yeah,
and I haven't updated the design in forever. Even
Yeah.
well, I know Mike's has got a design that's even older than mine, but yeah, it's.
yeah.
I'm just hoping it holds up.
Speaking
Yeah,
from personal experience, I felt so good when I got my site done. Was it last year? I think.
right. That's right.
Yeah, I forgot
Again,
about
though,
that.
with that purchased theme, so it was like a big leap forward. It was easy to get stuff done, and it looks awesome. If anyone wants to go look at it, amandalutz.com. That's where you can find me.
Well,
That's
I'm
right.
gonna go take a look at it right now.
There you go.
It does look
And,
awesome. It's good work on that, and
Mike helped
Oh
me with a
yeah,
couple of
I
the
remember
images.
your old site.
That's
This
right.
is so much better than the old one.
I know the old site. I was very much about content, as much content as possible, and I think that I had like this mosaic for all of the projects, and it was just like side to side, just like a whole monitor of content. And
Oh, and the
yeah,
site is really snappy too.
thank you. I do
Yeah,
believe
very
Nice.
that
nice.
is mostly due to Ben's Blitz plugin.
Oh, you're using that? Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great,
Uh,
isn't it?
I haven't used it yet. I should.
Oh, I use it on as many projects as I possibly can. It's so good.
yeah, it's good.
Oh,
Shout out to
okay.
Ben. What is it? Leave your lights on? I can never remember what his company's called.
Put your lights on.
Put your lights
and,
on.
two-time guest on the podcast. So
That's right.
That's right.
Ben is a podcast fan.
sorry I'm late. I was deep in the zone and was ignoring my phone beeping at me until I realized, oh, it's Wednesday. It's like, oh, I better get on this thing.
Yeah. So we did recently, since our last one, we went to the craft thing, didn't we? Is it
Yes,
like
yes.
we didn't do this since then?
We were
So-
just there last
Yeah,
week.
it was last
Yeah.
Tuesday that we were there. I'm
So
actually
craft-
wearing my
There he
new
is.
swag shirt.
Craft is, of course, this content management system we all love, and the company Pixel and Tonic had an event called .1 right here in Toronto, in my own neighborhood, and we all went and watched a bunch of talks, and Sean gave a talk.
Sean presented.
I
yes.
did. And when the videos are available, I'll be sharing it on Twitter and whatever. And I've also put a post on my blog as well.
Yeah,
It
was
was
really fun.
it was a good event. It was really cool talking to the names that I recognize. Like
Yeah.
Brandon Kelly was there, and Brad Bell, I think that's his name.
Yes.
Yeah, and just like just being able to hang out one on one, both talk technology, but then because it was a very small conference, I'd say maybe, what would you guess, like 50 people,
Something like that.
maybe.
Yeah, I would say 40 to 50. It was
Yeah.
a small event, but it was powerful. It was really good. There was
Yeah.
lots of good
Well,
information.
But because it was so small, it really gave us a chance to like interact with everybody individually that we wanted to, and more. I thought it was a great event.
Yeah.
The venue was awesome.
Yes,
And
it was at the
after
for those
party was on the roof, and
for those
the
who don't
view was
remember,
fantastic.
it was at the Broadview Hotel on
Yeah.
the east side of the city. It used to be a super ghetto strip club, but over the last probably 10 years or so, they've put in a lot of work, and it looks amazing there now. And yeah, the rooftop patio. Sean got this amazing shot of like the downtown skyline with the sun setting behind it. It was really nice.
Yeah,
Very cool.
on socials, I got a lot of traction on that site, on that post. I even had a few people ask about prints, but they never, when I followed up, they never asked more because, are you really interested? Because it's not cheap,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
about it's not about me charging a lot of money. It's about getting the printing and the framing done correctly.
Yeah.
I know because I printed it for myself, and the printing company just called me about an hour ago, so I'm going to pick it up at lunch.
Oh, cool.
I'm sure you went through like a good printing company, but Costco does stuff like that too.
Not anymore.
Oh no? Okay.
Costco has outsourced all their stuff. You have to do it online now, and it's all by mail. I forget which company they used to use. I used to print with Costco, except for really good prints. The best place to get prints done in the city is actually walking distance to my house. The Framing Depot. Shout out to the Framing Depot.
I was
you're
thinking
in
of
Toronto.
trying to get a bunch of stuff because of the house here that we're decorating. It occurred to me we have tons of great photos over the years at the beach or whatever. Just print some out and put them on the wall just for something.
Yeah,
So that's a good tip.
Absolutely, you
idea.
should do that. I mean, if you're honestly, most people will probably be happy with whatever service it is that Costco is using or any print shop. I'm going for like really high-end stuff, like stuff that you see in a gallery gets printed there, whether it's glossy, semi-gloss, on metal, on canvas, whatever. So
Cool.
Nice.
Okay,
my
let's-
phone
let's-
because I
Sean's
wasn't
still busy.
prepared.
Let's rein stuff back in now though and talk about technology.
Yes. Let's do that.
Who's got an idea of a thing to talk about?
I am.
I'm waiting for
Mike?
Okay. I can say something.
No,
yeah, unless-
Mike, you go first because I don't think
Okay.
that mine's like particularly awesome.
Okay, well, this is just something that I noticed the other day. Amanda, we kind of touched on it a little bit offline recently. And it's just the idea of switching between services and software and all that kind of thing. I'm currently using, I used to use Visual Studio Code with GitHub Copilot as the AI thing that helps me write code. Loved
Still
it.
doing that.
Still, yeah, there you go. And I've recently switched to Cursor, which is a forked version that's getting a lot of traction. I just heard on Wes Boss's podcast that now GitHub Copilot is catching up and putting in everything that Cursor put in, and like, people are like, oh, should I switch back? And then on the same day, I got a message from a friend of mine asking about Spotify, because he was asking, does anyone use Apple Music or whatever it's called for music? And he uses Spotify, and he was listening to a podcast, and he fell asleep, and he said when he woke up, it was playing some crazy podcast that he doesn't listen to. It just, the algorithm, just did its thing and promoted a bunch of shit that he doesn't like. So he was kind of fed up, and he was thinking of switching. So it just, all that at once made me think, man, we really have to like kind of keep our eye on all these different things. It must be something further to the Website 101 podcast that we do. Like, for someone getting into this industry, I can't imagine what it's like having to know what should I be using? What's the best thing? What's the best photo editor or whatever?
Especially now with like AI thrown in on top of that, because there are like 4 AI platforms that will generate video, and there are 8 that will create images, and there are like all of the different versions of ChatGPT, and all of the different versions of what's the one that Cursor uses? Claude. All of the different versions of, and so it's like, I mean, it's great that there's not a monopoly, that like one company taking advantage of everything and everyone and all the time. But the fact that
there will
even
be a monopoly soon.
Microsoft has Copilot, and Google has Gemini, and like even the Alexa device and the Hey Google device, and it's sometimes it is really overwhelming, and they don't always play nice together.
I'm going to be a cynic here. I'm going to say there will be a monopoly eventually, because right now is the beginning and everybody's trying it out, and then the successors will buy up the small ones, or the small ones will disappear, and we'll be left with 1 or 2. It'll be like the telecom industry in Canada, where we get hosed by 1 of 3 companies, and they all equally screw you. Sorry,
Yes.
I'm really bitter and cynical about life in Canada.
Telecom, we know. Oh, life in general. Yes. We're all having
Holding my finger.
we're all having a sad day due to events in the United
I didn't
States
want to
yesterday.
talk about that.
And that's all I want to say. That's at the end.
I do want to
but-
say something about what Mike was saying.
Well, hold on to it, because I was going to say something about what you were saying. I do agree. I think that you're right. I think that there are going to be like big conglomerates that buy up all of the little things. I think it's going to be more than 3. I think it is going to be better than the telecoms in Canada. But I think it's going to be the existing FANGs with maybe 1 or 2 of them switching out.
I
Meta
just watched
is
the
pushing
prices
hard
get
on
jacked
stuff.
up to $10,
of
$20 a
course.
month is going to be ridiculously cheap. It'll probably be like $100 a month or something. That's the super
Which I'm
cynic
not,
and Sean
which I'm
coming
not
out.
paying for.
I already didn't want to pay $10 a month for Copilot, but I am.
Agreed. Yeah.
I'm
same
just
here.
subscriction serviced out. Like, it's just
It's
draining.
death
You
by
don't
1,000
own
cuts.
anything ever anymore.
Yeah.
Back to Mike's friend falling asleep with his podcast. I know with the podcast app that I use, Podcast Addict, there is a sleep timer, which I never use because I don't use podcasts to fall asleep. There's probably something in the Spotify settings where you can
there is.
just turn it off or whatever. I recommend your friend check that out. But yeah, I mean,
his
switching
argument
services
wasn't
to Google Music or Apple Music or
Yeah.
whatever. It's going to be a hassle, and you have to set up your playlists and let the algorithm find out what you like again.
That's true.
But
That's the
I think there's just
problem.
a setting that he missed that he needs to change.
His argument wasn't, hey, it kept playing while I fell asleep. His argument is the algorithm suggests things that he doesn't like. It doesn't know him well enough, That was the point he was making.
I think
So, yeah.
Spotify knows me after 12 years of subscription to the family plan.
See, I'm having problems though, because so growing up and etc. I liked grunge, and I liked emo, and but I want to be listening to new music, and I want to be listening to modern music. And for a while, I was listening to The Edge all the time, but now they only play stuff from the 90s, which is fine when I feel like that, but it's not all
Yeah,
the
they
time.
changed their format recently.
They changed the format. And then I was listening to Indie 88 because they are Toronto's modern music station, and they
also
were
changed
fine
their
and good.
format.
But yes, like on the weekend, I heard Sade. Yesterday, I heard Fleetwood Mac. And so it's like they'll alternate. They'll do like something new, and it's just I don't want to listen to music that like I didn't enjoy listening to 30 years ago. I just want to listen to like new music. And I find that the problem with Spotify and stuff is like with any streaming is that I don't know enough to seed it to find the new things. So on the times when I feel like listening like to the old hair metal, like that's what it's stuck at always, constantly. And I don't want that. I know that radio stations are dying. I know that kids don't listen to radio stations, but I really wish that there was some way that I could find.
Yeah, that's what I
Music.
miss about the radio is that they would just play new music that fit the genre. And I listened to I used to listen to the radio all the time in the car and just put up with the commercials. And my kids were making fun of me. They're like, "Why do you listen to this garbage whenever the commercials would come on or the DJs would talk?" And I'd be like, "Listen, when you have kids your age and there's some new thing going down that you don't care about, they're going to say the same thing to you. And that's just get off my lawn." Wait, it's your lawn too.
I'm so used to like tuning out the commercials and the jibber jabber. I do just want to hear the music, but again, and so now I'm going to have to go look at the TuneIn site so I can find out if there is like a streaming radio station that is like actually new music. So it's
I do actually like DJ talk because if it's done right, where they talk about the music and the artist and not
How
just
often does that happen?
Yeah, I've never heard that.
It used to happen. I actually use the Spotify DJ once in a while, and it will play music from your library, but also related artists from time to time.
Yo,
So the
it's a Spotify DJ coming at you. Here's another.
I
can't
would like
stand
to
that
change
guy.
the voice. They only have one voice.
Oh,
for
it
the
does
DJ.
that? God, that's awful. That's awful.
You were listening to this track a lot back in the summer of.
Yeah, oh man, I know Mike totally listens to the
God.
DJ. 'Cause he
I
knows
don't. I heard it the once, and I'm like, I'm done with this guy.
Okay. I don't
do
use it often, but I do like it because it does introduce me to new artists. And for me, I have a friend out in Kingston. He's at least once a week, he sends me a text message with a new artist to listen to. And I was like, awesome.
That's cool.
You're my new DJ.
Yeah.
Shout out to Paul in Kingston.
You can. There's a toggle where you can get it to, if you're playing a playlist or something, you can get it to throw in a song that you didn't add in the playlist randomly based
I
on
didn't
what's
know
in
that.
there.
Yeah.
But it's not always.
This episode brought to you by Spotify.
Yeah, God. So also because Halloween just passed, I got to play Frankenstein this week, which was a lot of fun.
Nice.
But in a project that I'm working on. So it was an existing project. I inherited it from someone else. Maintenance and I've gotten kind of comfortable with the code base, but then they wanted to add this great big new different thing. And it took me a while to wrap my head around, but finally I started poking around the rest of the code and it was like, well, half of what I want is kind of from this area and half of what I need to do is kind of from this area. And I'm going to need to do a cookie thing, which already exists down in this area. So I kind of like cobbled together from like all of these different parts throughout the rest of the site to make my new monster.
Yeah, that's
I am
great.
very proud of myself. It's actually working out really well.
I'm proud of you for using the name Frankenstein accurately in that description. You're not the monster.
I'm not the
Dr.
monster. I'm the
Frankenstein.
doctor. Yeah.
Very good.
That's who
Nice.
Frankenstein is.
That is a common mistake. And like Mike, I also get annoyed, but usually just bite my tongue because I don't want to be a pedant.
So I think that a lot of times, so what I was trying to do was, hey, new developers, if you're working on an existing project, it is absolutely okay to go and see what else and how else has been done and what better way to be getting new experience and new knowledge. I tried the GitHub Copilot and I was like, hey, can you find an instance where this is happening? And they basically told me to just go like to that little magnifying glass icon, go search for it through the project. And it was like, you are no help. Thank you. So yeah, again, even with all these AIs, they're only tools. Use them as a resource. You still need to know what you're doing. Dive deep into the code base that you're working with, especially if you got it from someone else, because there's going to be little nuggets of gold in there that's going to help you with whatever task you're working on.
There'll also be little
next.
nuggets of shit too.
Oh, there will be. Absolutely. I enjoyed how you reused the word nugget. But I mean, it's at least going to get you started in the right direction. And at that point, you can start deciding, yes, I'm going to take this part. Yes, I'm going to ignore that.
And there are some things that AI is really good at. Like today, I'm working on a legacy project that's using Bootstrap 3.3.7. So it's a really old version of Bootstrap. And I was like, I just can't do this anymore. So I talked to the project manager and I said, I need a half an hour or an hour just to add in Tailwind. Can we do this? And they said, yes. All right. So I started integrating Tailwind and I used AI a lot because I was like, I know how to use Tailwind and I know how to like set it up, but I was working on the site that has a whole bunch of Sass variables and things like that. So I would copy and paste all the colors from the site, and it's been through 2 or 3 rebrands. So it's like, there's a lot of different colors. I just paste the colors in and say, add this to the Tailwind config. I want all of these colors, not in the extend, just in the theme. Boom, does it. And I was like, oh, not exactly. I want you to use the array syntax for the colors. And then it did it so that each color, if there's a light blue and a dark blue and a regular blue, it would just make the regular blue as default, which is a Tailwind thing. And for single colors, it would just be like green and then default and then whatever the green is, so that I can configure, update it in the future. I did it with that. I did it with fonts. I did it with a couple other things into the Tailwind config. I just drop it into Copilot and it would spit out what I needed. It was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yes.
So granted, the Bootstrap 3 point whatever, yes, it's old. It's very old. It's very antiquated. The site probably should be updated, etc. I agree with that.
I interject. Old versions of Bootstrap and Foundation and stuff, those are not easily upgraded on a project just because of the way the classes and the HTML stuff works. Continue.
Okay. But you could, I'm playing devil's advocate, you could have kept working with that version of Bootstrap. So did you just want to add Tailwind because you're more familiar with it? Or because you actually think it's going to be a better experience for the end user?
It has nothing to do with the end user. It has to do with the developer experience. And also it does have to do with, I am not as familiar with Bootstrap as I used to be, and I will concede that point. But for the developer experience, I can write the CSS I need using Tailwind so much faster than I can using Bootstrap and Sass. And because I am really familiar with Tailwind at this point, I don't need to reference the docs as much. And even for new class or types of CSS, because of the way Tailwind names it, I often don't even need to check the docs. I can just type it out. And we've got the problems that you have with old code bases in CSS built in Sass, that you don't know what's safe to override or delete. And it's just, the site's been around for like 6 or 7 years. It's huge, and it's just time to like make things simpler. So, right, the plan is new components, new sections. We're going to use Tailwind on it just because it's faster. And over time, if we work on rejigging an existing section or component, we'll just swap it out for Tailwind classes. So it'll be slowly transition away from Bootstrap to Tailwind.
Okay, and that's cool. I like everything that you're saying, but is there ever going to be a time when both Bootstrap and Tailwind are on the same page?
I'm not sure I follow what you're saying.
Like, is Bootstrap still going to be powering your CSS while you're using Tailwind? You know,
yes.
at some point.
I mean, that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have two different CSS files, and yes, the Tailwind one is below the Bootstrap one.
Yeah. No. Okay.
I have a
It's I also I know what you're saying is like kind of ick, but it's
It
an
is
ick
kinda.
that I'm willing to sacrifice to make my life as the developer easier.
Yeah, I have a question about that and also about what Amanda just asked. So, Sean, if I can, I don't know how much you want to reveal about this project, but are you doing this for an agency rather than directly to a client that owns
I
the
am
site?
doing it for an agency, but I have another huge project that I think I'm going to do the same thing with going forward as well.
Sure. But I'm surprised that the agency was so willing to let you just, oh, we're going to use Tailwind now and revamp the entire code base to use Tailwind without
We're
any
not going to
pushback.
revamp the entire code base, as I said. It's just like new bits and pieces as we work through some redesign or added new features. And it's about the speed of development. Like the project manager that I've been working with, she knows how Tailwind works and how it speeded up our development over time. So she is actually was advocating to the agency owner that we should do this
Mm.
after I suggested it.
that makes a lot more sense than you just walking in as like
Oh,
an
I
external contractor and
wanted to
being
do
like,
it for a while.
"Tailwind." No,
Yeah,
I get
mean,
it, but
we've been using Tailwind on other sites for a long time, so she knows that. And I wanted to do this for a while, but I was hesitant to start it because I was like, do I really want to run it concurrently? And then I just looked into it and I said, yeah, I do. And so today I was like, listen, I just want to do this because I don't want to build out this whole new section using Bootstrap classes. It's going to be slow and clunky, and I have all these nested classes to override stuff on the rest of the site that I don't know if it's safe to override. So I have to do like the super long chaining, and it's like just let's make it easy.
Hmm.
And she was like, sold, yeah, just do it. And she said, how much time? I said, 30 to 60 minutes to integrate this. And she's like, yeah, she didn't, like she had gotten approval to do it, but she didn't even go to the boss and say, hey, it's going to take an hour. She's just like, yeah, just do it. I know it's going to be good.
Hmm. Well, good. That's good. It's good that they were so,
Yeah. And
Receptive.
so I do have
There you go.
another client that's not attached to an agency, and we have it's on Bootstrap 4, not quite as old as Bootstrap 3, but I would like to do the same thing, and I'm going to talk to them as we build out new sections also.
Yeah. Well, that thing I said at the top of the show about me redoing my website, my personal website is using Foundation something and Expression Engine, which is a great CMS, but I always promote Craft these days, so I feel like I should probably move it to Craft and get off of Foundation. And anyway, that again goes back to the thing we talked about. What do you stick with? How do you switch
Yeah.
back and forth? You go with Tailwind, you go with the Boots.
It
knowledge
is
and
a
experience
big
and everything
deal
is always
to
changing.
migrate from
Yeah.
anything to something new. It's always going to be a big deal and
Yep.
a hassle. I gotta say, one of the things I liked about Tailwind is that it's upgradable. I upgraded from Tailwind 1 to Tailwind 3, or Tailwind 2, Tailwind 2 to Tailwind 3. The upgrade process is actually very doable on existing projects, unlike Foundation and Bootstrap. That's not a slag at Foundation and Bootstrap, it's just the way that they work and the bonus for Tailwind. And I did see Adam Watham on Twitter, or X, sorry, tweeting something about an automated upgrade for Tailwind 4 that he was testing.
Oh, yeah.
out. So you just run a CLI command and it will upgrade your site for you. And I was like, that sounds freaking amazing.
So Bootstrap and Foundation are still being developed, like currently, is that right?
I believe
Yeah.
so, but I don't
Bootstrap
follow
is
them,
on
so-
5.3.
Okay, got it.
is it still owned by Twitter or is it separate now?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's an interesting
X,
question.
not Twitter.
All right, it's 12. Should we wrap it up?
I
Yes.
think so.
Okay.
Good seeing
well,
you, as always, friends.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And we have yet to put out our very
I
latest
know.
episode. Jesus, it seems like every time we do this, we're like, "Hey, subscribe."
It's gotta,
Well,
it's gotta
subscribe
happen.
again.
It's gotta
Yeah,
happen.
eventually
Okay,
it's
well,
gonna
both of you stick around for a couple of minutes. We can talk about the upcoming season. Now,
Oh yeah, we will do that. Okay,
there we go.
sounds good.
Sean, outro me. No, Mike, outro me. Yeah.
Later.
Bye, friends.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.